Ladies and gentlemen, if I were to ask you, is the crescent moon in the palm of your hand, what would you say? Some might laugh, some might look at their hand and see nothing, but a few, a very few, will close their eyes and feel it. This question is not about the moon, it is about your awareness, your intention, and your ability to hold the unseen potential within you. 2025 is not simply a year, it is a moment, a breath in time, waiting to be shaped by your actions. There are 10 things that will happen to you in this year, not because the universe decides, but because your mindset, your discipline, and your daily choices decide. Today, I will show you how this crescent moon, your dreams, your direction, your power is already in your hand. The only question is, will you realize it in time? Let me know if you'd like to personalize this further, like adjusting tone, adding your name, or linking to martial arts metaphors. Your future is already forming in your daily habits. This statement may sound simple, even obvious, but its power lies in its depth. We often look ahead to the future as something distant, something mysterious that will unfold on its own. But the reality is that the shape of your life 1 year from now, 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now, is being created quietly and invisibly through what you choose to do every single day. Most people underestimate the force of small, repeated actions. They imagine transformation as something dramatic, a sudden breakthrough, a lucky opportunity, or a major life event. But real change is subtle. It is built slowly, like a temple, brick by brick, and those bricks are your habits, the thoughts you entertain, the actions you repeat, the priorities you set, and the discipline you maintain even when no one is watching. If you wake up each day and begin with intention, not rushing, not scrolling, but sitting with yourself, breathing and asking, what energy do I bring to this day? You are already shaping a future that is conscious. That is powerful. Compare that to waking up in distraction, checking your phone, getting pulled into the noise of the world before your own mind has settled. These two approaches seem small in the moment, but over time they build two very different versions of your life. The same applies to how you eat, how you move your body, how you speak to others, how you think about yourself. If your habit is to criticize yourself, your future will be heavy. If your habit is to observe your mistakes without judgment and adjust with calmness, then your future will carry lightness and growth. It is not about perfection, it is about consistency. Imagine two people planting seeds. One waters their soil every day, even if they don't see anything growing. The other only waters when they feel motivated. Over time, the first person builds a garden, the second, perhaps a few sprouts, but mostly dry earth. This is how habits work. They do not ask for loud effort, they ask for quiet commitment. Many people chase goals, but goals without habits are just wishes. A person who says, I want to be healthy, but continues to eat poorly and avoid movement is not actually committed. The future they hope for cannot grow because the habits do not match the vision. The future is not formed by desire alone. It is formed by alignment when your daily actions match the future you say you want. In 2025, there will be changes, challenges, and unexpected moments. That is guaranteed. But how you respond to them will not depend on your emotions in that moment. It will depend on the strength of the habits you have built before they arrived. If you have trained your mind to stay calm under pressure, that calmness will appear. If you have built the habit of taking action despite fear, then courage will guide you. Your habits are training your nervous system, your thoughts, your posture, your energy. They are shaping how you walk into a room, how you solve problems, how you speak to others, and how you sleep at night. Every moment you act with awareness, you are telling your future, I am preparing for you. It may not feel dramatic. In fact, the best habits often feel quiet and even boring, but they are building resilience. They are preparing you to handle what others might break under. They are making you clear when others are confused. They are planting roots so that when the storm comes, you do not fall. Clarity comes when you stop chasing and start observing. In a world that constantly tells you to move faster, achieve more, and never rest, this idea may seem counterintuitive. But true clarity does not arise from motion, it arises from stillness. It is not found in the endless pursuit of goals, status, or approval. It emerges when you pause long enough to actually see what is already present in your life and in your mind. Many people live in a constant state of pursuit, chasing validation, chasing success, chasing happiness. They run toward the next thing without questioning whether that thing aligns with who they are. The result is often exhaustion, confusion, and an inner emptiness that no achievement can fill. The more they chase, the more distant clarity becomes. The more they grasp for answers, the more clouded their perception grows. They mistake motion for progress and noise for purpose. To stop chasing does not mean to stop growing. It means to slow down enough to ask, why am I doing this? What is driving me? That one question, asked with sincerity, begins to clear the fog. It shifts your focus from external pressure to internal alignment. You begin to realize that much of what you were chasing was not even yours to begin with. It was conditioned into you by family, society, or comparison with others. Observation is the gateway to clarity. When you observe, you stop reacting. You watch your thoughts without judgment. You begin to notice patterns, how your mind responds to fear, how your body tightens when you are unsure, how you speak when you feel insecure. These small realizations gathered without force become powerful. They give you insight into your inner world, and insight always leads to clarity. In this practice, your breath becomes a tool. When you observe the breath, you become anchored in the present. And the present moment is where truth lives, not the imagined future or the remembered past, but this very moment right now. Most people overlook the present because it seems too ordinary, but in that ordinariness lies extraordinary depth. When you fully observe what is here, you begin to see clearly what is real, what is useful, and what can be released. Clarity is not about having all the answers. It is about removing what is unnecessary so that what matters can come into view. It is a subtractive process. You do not need to add more information, more opinions, or more effort. You need to let go of the noise. You need to sit quietly and observe what remains when the mental clutter dissolves. In this state, decision-making becomes simple, not because life becomes easy, but because your inner compass becomes visible. You are no longer swayed by every emotion or external opinion. You begin to trust yourself because your choices come from observation, not impulse. You see your values clearly. You see your direction clearly. And most importantly, you see your current position clearly without distortion, without denial. This clarity allows you to move with purpose instead of pressure. You stop running in circles and begin to walk your path. Others may still be chasing, and their noise may still echo, but you are no longer pulled by it. You have stepped into a different state, one that is calm, focused, and deeply aware. There is a strength in stillness that cannot be found in speed. When you observe rather than chase, you conserve energy, you refine your focus, you become precise, and in that precision, your next steps become obvious. Not because someone told you what to do, but because you saw it for yourself. This is the quiet power of observation, the birthplace of clarity. Discipline will unlock doors talent cannot. This is a truth that many resist, because talent is often celebrated, while discipline remains invisible. Talent feels natural, effortless, even glamorous, but it is discipline that sustains effort when the excitement fades. Talent might give you a head start, but without the structure of discipline, it cannot carry you far. Those who rely solely on talent often burn out or plateau because they lack the habits required for consistent growth. Discipline is not loud, it does not seek praise, it works in silence, in repetition, in commitment to a process. It shows up on the days when you feel tired, uninspired, or uncertain. It shows up when the path ahead is unclear, when progress feels slow, when no one is watching. Discipline is not driven by motivation. It is driven by decision, the decision to honor your values, your goals, and your responsibilities, regardless of your mood. The truth is that even the most talented individuals face resistance. Everyone encounters moments of doubt, frustration, and fear. The difference is that disciplined people move forward anyway. They do not wait to feel ready. They do not negotiate with excuses. They have trained themselves to act despite discomfort, and this ability to act to stay consistent is what opens the doors that talent alone cannot. In the long run, consistency always beats intensity. A person who trains a little every day will surpass the one who trains hard but inconsistently. The same applies to any area of life: writing, learning, business, relationships, health. It is not the grand gestures that create transformation, but the small actions done regularly with care and attention. Discipline is what makes this possible. Discipline builds character. It sharpens your focus and strengthens your resolve. It teaches you patience and humility. You begin to see that progress is not about perfection, but about persistence. Each time you show up, even when it's hard, you add to your inner strength. Each time you stay true to your path, you become more aligned with your purpose. Over time, this alignment creates a kind of quiet confidence, the knowing that you can rely on yourself. Talent may open the first few doors, but discipline is the key that opens the rest. It is what carries you through setbacks and failures. It is what allows you to grow, because you're not waiting for perfect conditions to begin. You're not depending on natural ability to succeed. You are creating your own momentum through effort and intention. Even creativity, which many associate with talent, thrives under discipline. When you create regularly, regardless of inspiration, you strengthen your creative muscle. Ideas flow more freely, your skill deepens. You become more fluid, more capable. Talent might give you the spark, but discipline keeps the fire burning. Without it, the spark fades into smoke. Discipline also teaches you responsibility. You begin to understand that your life is your own to shape. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for external permission. You take ownership of your time, your energy, your growth. This ownership empowers you. It shifts your mindset from passive to active, from reactive to intentional. The disciplined mind is a focused mind. It is not easily distracted. It understands the value of attention and uses it wisely. It chooses where to place its energy and guards it from waste. This kind of mental discipline is rare, and that is why it is powerful. It creates momentum where others hesitate. It builds resilience where others crumble. While talent may be noticed quickly, discipline builds a reputation over time. It speaks through results. It does not need to boast. It simply delivers, and in doing so, it creates a foundation of trust, not just with others, but within yourself. You begin to believe in your ability, not because of what you were born with, but because of what you've built. Stillness reveals the path hidden in chaos. In the rush of everyday life, people often search for answers by doing more, running faster, filling their days with noise and movement. But when everything becomes loud and restless, the true path forward becomes harder to see. Chaos distorts vision. It agitates the mind and scatters attention. In such a state, even wise decisions become clouded, and clarity slips away like water through open fingers. Most people try to overpower chaos with force, more effort, more control, more noise. But the paradox is that clarity does not come from overpowering chaos. It comes from stepping back from it. When the surface of a lake is disturbed, you cannot see to the bottom. But if the water becomes still, even the smallest pebble becomes visible beneath. The same is true of the human mind. When it is agitated, truth hides, but in stillness, things become clear. Stillness does not mean inactivity, it means presence, it means a calm alertness, a grounded awareness that allows you to observe without reacting. This kind of stillness can be cultivated, trained like a muscle. It begins with the breath, with learning to pause, to observe the inhale and exhale without rushing to the next thought or task. From that space, something shifts. The noise of the world begins to fade, and your own inner voice becomes more audible. In moments of uncertainty, stillness becomes even more essential. When everything around you is changing, when pressure is rising, when emotions are high, that is when the temptation to act quickly is strongest. But that is also when stillness can offer the most value. It gives you a moment to assess, to reconnect with your values, to make a decision not out of fear or urgency, but out of wisdom. Stillness allows you to see patterns that motion conceals. It helps you recognize where your energy is leaking, where your time is being wasted, where your emotions are leading you in circles. It gives you space to see which battles are worth fighting and which are distractions. It reveals the difference between what feels urgent and what is truly important. In chaos, it is easy to become reactive. People say things they don't mean, make choices they later regret, and lose sight of their deeper intentions. But a person who has trained in stillness carries a different energy. They do not react impulsively. They listen before they speak. They breathe before they move. They remain calm even as the storm rages around them. That calmness is not weakness, it is control, it is strength. From stillness, intuition emerges, not the shallow guesswork of a stressed mind, but the deep knowing that arises when you are centered. This intuition helps you feel what step to take next. It may not always come with a full plan or explanation, but it gives you a direction that feels right, grounded, and true. Over time, as you build trust in this process, you begin to rely less on outside noise and more on inner wisdom. Stillness also brings resilience. When others are overwhelmed, you remain steady. When others panic, you conserve energy. When the world becomes unstable, you become an anchor. This kind of presence is rare, and it makes a difference not only in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. People begin to sense your clarity, and they are drawn to it, not because you speak loudly, but because you carry peace. In the quiet, things become clear. In the pause, choices emerge. When the storm of thought settles, the path that was always there begins to reveal itself. Not a new path, but one that was hidden beneath the surface of constant motion. Stillness, practiced with patience and depth, becomes the lens through which you can see that path and walk it with confidence. Energy flows where your attention goes. This principle is not philosophical poetry, it is a law of life. Every moment of your day, you are directing your energy somewhere. Wherever your focus lands, your internal power begins to gather and take shape. If you constantly focus on fear, your energy will manifest as anxiety. If your attention is always on problems, your energy will begin to feed frustration. But if your focus shifts to growth, to learning, to progress, then your energy aligns with creation. Attention is not just mental, it is spiritual, emotional, and physical. When you give something your full attention, you are nourishing it. You are giving it the fuel to expand. A seed grows where it is watered. Similarly, a thought becomes stronger the more it is entertained. This is why some people become stuck, not because they lack opportunity, but because they keep feeding the same disempowering thoughts day after day. Where you place your attention is a decision. That decision determines how your energy is used. Most people live unconsciously, letting their attention be stolen by distractions, social media, news cycles, gossip, drama. These things pull energy away from their purpose. They scatter focus and drain vitality. At the end of the day, the person feels tired, unfocused, even defeated, not because life was too hard, but because their energy was fragmented. Focused attention is a discipline. It requires awareness. It requires you to step back and ask, what am I feeding with my thoughts right now? Every time you catch yourself giving energy to negativity, to comparison, to fear of the future, you have a choice. You can stay in that pattern or you can redirect. The power is always in the redirection. Over time, small redirections create massive shifts. Energy responds to intention. When your attention is clear and directed with purpose, your energy becomes aligned. This alignment brings momentum. You begin to notice synchronicities, moments of flow and clarity of direction. You feel more grounded because your attention is no longer scattered. You feel more alive because your energy is moving in harmony with your goals, not against them. Even in relationships, attention is everything. When you listen with presence, the other person feels seen. When you engage with care, the relationship grows stronger. But if your attention is divided, if you are always thinking of something else, checking your phone, or waiting to speak, then connection weakens. The same applies to your relationship with yourself. When you pay attention to your needs, your values, and your inner world, self-trust begins to grow. What you focus on consistently becomes your reality. If you always look for problems, you will live in a world full of them. If you train yourself to look for lessons, for possibilities, for moments of beauty, your reality begins to reflect those qualities. This is not magic, it is the result of how your nervous system and subconscious mind respond to repeated focus. What you repeat becomes your baseline. In any moment of chaos, you can ask yourself, where is my attention right now? That one question can shift your state. It brings you back to the present, where power lives. It stops the spiral of wasted energy and helps you bring your awareness to what truly matters. From there, you can act with clarity and intention. Energy is limited each day. You cannot control every situation, but you can control where your energy goes. Attention is the steering wheel. When you learn to guide it with care, you begin to conserve your strength, amplify your focus, and move with a calm intensity. Your goals begin to unfold not because of force, but because your energy is moving in one clear direction, guided by conscious attention. You carry both the question and the answer within you. This is a reminder that often what we seek outside has already been waiting quietly inside. People go through life asking endless questions about purpose, direction, meaning, love, peace. They search in books, in others' opinions, in systems and structures, hoping someone or something will hand them a clear answer. But the more they search outwardly, the further they often drift from their own inner wisdom. The human mind is layered and complex, but it is not empty. Beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning and fear, there is a still space where clarity exists. That space cannot be accessed through force or analysis. It requires silence, presence, and the willingness to listen deeply. The questions you carry about who you are, what you are meant to do, what step to take next are not signs of confusion. They are invitations. They are inner signals pointing you toward deeper reflection. You have already lived experiences, felt emotions, faced challenges. Each of these holds a part of the answer, but if you don't pause to reflect, you miss the lesson they carry. When you sit in silence and ask yourself a real question, not a surface one, but a sincere inquiry, your mind and body begin to respond. Maybe not instantly, but gradually. You feel nudges, sensations, shifts in perception. These are not random, they are part of the answer forming. The challenge is that most people don't trust their inner voice. They have been trained to seek authority outside, to assume that someone else knows better. But the truth is, even when advice helps, it is only effective if it resonates with what is already inside you. That resonance is the real compass. It is the way your inner world confirms alignment. If something feels forced, heavy, or disconnected, it is usually because it does not match your internal truth. The question and the answer live in the same place. The question arises when a part of you is ready to grow. It brings awareness to something previously hidden. The answer comes when you are ready to listen, when your mind is quiet enough to receive, and your heart is open enough to feel. This process cannot be rushed. It unfolds in layers. At first, the answer may appear vague, like a whisper, but the more attention you give it, the clearer it becomes. This is why solitude is important. Not isolation, but solitude, intentional time with yourself. In solitude, you begin to hear your own thoughts without interruption. You begin to feel what is real for you without influence. You start to recognize which questions are urgent and which are distractions. You also begin to see that many of the answers are not words, but feelings, directions, and subtle inner shifts. Self-inquiry is a path. It is a process of turning inward with honesty and patience. You do not need to fear the questions you carry. They are not signs of weakness. They are the beginning of wisdom. The deeper the question, the more profound the answer that will emerge. But only if you are willing to wait, to watch, to feel, and to trust. When you realize that you are both the seeker and the source, something changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop relying entirely on outside guidance. You begin to anchor into yourself, and from that place, your questions no longer feel like burdens. They feel like keys. They unlock parts of you that were sleeping. They awaken insight that cannot be taught, only realized, and through that realization, you begin to walk with a different kind of confidence. Quiet, steady, and self-sourced.